Once Upon a Studio is an animation celebrating Disney's 100th anniversary, and every frame is filled with characters, props, photos. Today we'll pour over this nostalgic masterpiece and explore the history, secrets, and love of the animators who built the Disney we adore. This is the Meticulous Guide to Once Upon a Studio. Once Upon a Studio began life as a hobby project by two Disney animators, Dan Abraham and Trent Corey.
The first time we met to talk about this, it was that time when we were all locked at home, you couldn't see other people. We ordered food at the takeout window, we parked beside each other, and we started talking about this short.
The pair saw the 100th anniversary of Walt Disney Animation Studios in the distance, and they began to dream up a crazy idea.
If there was ever a project to say no to, it would probably be this one because there's just so much to figure out.
Every movie, every character, traditional and computer animation drawn over a live set, bringing back dozens of voice actors to reprise their iconic roles. But as impossible as the production seemed, the two knew they had something remarkable.
It's the way it pitched it. And she said, I don't know how, but we have to figure out how to make this.
Their undertaking meant not only imagining how everyone's favorite characters would interact together, but establishing the gritty details like Gaston's canon height. And for that, they had to go into theorist mode. That was tricky. We had to go into stuff like Scrooge McDuck next to Tiana, or Mickey next to Winnie the Pooh. Well, Pooh is a teddy bear, so according to Christopher Robin's height, the stuff we talked about was sort of ridiculous. And then it had to be animated. As with voice actors, Dan and Trent wanted the original animators whenever they could. James Baxter, Ruben Aquino, Tony Bancroft, Nick Ranieri, and Will Finn all came out of retirement to lend their pen to characters they first drew decades ago.
When Louis comes out of the frame, he is casting a shadow on top of Nick,
right.
You know, and that attention to detail is the kind of thing that went into every scene in this film.
Of all the stars on this project, I think the crown belongs to Richard Sherman. Richard and his older brother Robert were a songwriting duo that worked closely with Walt Disney. They wrote everything from Mary Poppins to the Enchanted Tiki Room, and every Friday they would play for Walt at his piano in his office. At 94 years old, Richard was compelled to play again.
Recording Richard Sherman, playing Feed the Birds for our short in Walt Disney's office.
I used to play that for Walt all the time. He loved that song. Walt's not here, but his spirit's here. Yeah.
And if you're wondering, Richard Sherman got to see the completed short he fell in love with before passing away and rejoining his brother. There's a lot of people we'll be remembering today. The short opens with people leaving the Disney Animation building at closing time. Mickey and Minnie are the first to come to life, and they begin the process of gathering everyone for a group photo. We see dozens of characters coming to life across the halls, and we follow Peter Pan up to the next floor. Every shot has a touching moment or a funny gag as all the characters gather together outside for the photo. Goofy, a professional photographer, goes to take the photo but accidentally drops the camera. To the tune of When You Wish Upon a Star, everyone rallies together. Felix fixes the camera, and with a click flash, we're out of there fast enough to leave you wanting more. I know I wanted more, so here we are and here we go. As they're the focus of the short, I'll start with the characters. There are 543 characters seen in Once Upon a Studio, and I know this because I was crazy enough to go through frame by frame and catalog them all myself. And then cross-reference my list with what Disney and other sources have cataloged to end up with the final version. I double-checked my list, partially for accuracy, but mostly because I haven't seen every Disney animated film, and I felt awkward introducing him as Big Purple Guy. With 543 friends in tow, I foolishly imagined I could read off the full list to you. I mean, I could. I'm sure some of you would be generous enough to listen to that, but even at 1 second per name, that would be over 9 minutes just of me listing names, and I value your time more than that. Instead, I'm going to skip right to the interesting features of the character list, and if you want to give the full thing a peruse, I'll link it in the description. First up, it was a common misconception that this short has every Disney animation character. It doesn't. 543 characters is a lot, but it's a fraction of the total options. For instance, my favorite Disney animation is Mulan, and here we have Mulan, Mushu, Captain Shang, Yao, Ling, Chien Po, and Cricky. We do not have Mulan's family, the matchmaker, the Emperor's advisor, Shan Yu or any of the Huns, etc. Decisions had to be made about which characters got to be here, and for the most part there isn't much speculation to be done about why a given character is excluded from the animation. Except for Shan Yu. Sean Yu is considered a controversial depiction, and the film predictably excludes a short list of characters such as Sean Yu, Tiger Lily, and actual Jim Crow. No, I've never heard a Song of the South. Why do you ask? Also excluded from the short are any characters whose deaths happened early in the film, like Mufasa, or any of the characters who are technically Disney but weren't animated by Walt Disney Animation Studios, including the Roger Rabbit crew and all of Pixar. As an interesting side effect, this leaves Merida from the Pixar movie Brave as the only official Disney animation princess to be absent from the short. About half the characters with the speaking role are voiced by their original actor through archival audio, but the other half are a mix of recent actors returning to their iconic characters and new actors playing a character for the first time. Standouts here are Alan Tudyk as the Mad Hatter. Alan is the voice of King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph and based his performance on the original Mad Hatter. Piotr Michael as Iago, as he previously played Iago for the Screen Junkies YouTube channel, and Keith Ferguson as Prince Charming. Now, while Ferguson is new to Disney, he is not new to the role of Prince Charming, as he previously played the character in the classic 2008 game Shrek's Carnival Craze. And if you'll indulge me for a moment, I know spreadsheet commands, and I'm not afraid to use them. The animated characters of Once Upon a Studio are drawn from 87 films and shorts. The average number of characters per film was 6, but the most is 101 Dalmatians with 60. Well, that one's cheating because there's 51 unnamed Dalmatian pups. Looking only at named characters, the top 3 films represented here are Peter Pan and Robin Hood with 13 characters each, followed by Encanto with 12. 79% of the characters are animated by hand, while 20% are animated digitally. The oldest character is Oswald the Lucky Rabbit from 1927, and the youngest is Asha from 2023. Finally, there is one animated character who didn't come from a film or short, and that's the Lost Boy, who was voiced by Robin Williams for the MGM Studios attraction The Magic of Disney Animation. In addition to all the animated characters, there are a few standouts from the live opening. Leaving the building, we have cameo appearances of Dan Abraham and Trent Corey. The older gentleman who closes the doors is Bernie Mattinson, Disney's longest-serving employee. Bernie was with the company for 70 years before he passed away in 2023. He has a dedication in the credits of Once Upon a Studio, and these are far from the only people honored in Once Upon a Studio. The most prominent of all is a portrait of Walt Disney. It's where Mickey pauses, and we hear Richard Sherman play Walt's favorite song for him. More photos blanket the walls. In the first shot with Mickey and Minnie, we also have a photo of Disney legend and one of the first black Disney animators, Floyd Norman. These are the 9 old men, legendary animators Les Clark, Mark Davis, Ollie Johnston, Milt Kahl, Ward Kimball, Eric Larson, John Lounsbury, Wolfgang Reitherman, and Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas also features in this photo, studying a Dalmatian for animated 101 Dalmatians. These are storyboards for the short Good Scouts, presented by Disney legend and comic artist Carl Barks and acted out by animator Harry Reeves. Then there's Disney Legends, editor Retta Scott, animator Mary Blair, and Disney's first Asian animator Tyrus Wong. This other group photo shows the employees of Walt's first company, Laugh-O-Gram, including Ham Hamilton, Roy Disney, Hugh Harman, Walt Disney, Rudy Ising, Ub Iwerks, Walker Harmon, and in the middle is Margie Gay, who starred in many of Disney's Alice comedies. There's a photo of the multiplane camera developed by Ub Iwerk to speed up the animation process, and Disney legend and animator Bill Justice, the old Hyperion Studios animation building. There was a concept artist and story writer Bill Peet, and Disney legend Grace Bailey, another frame dedicated to Ub Iwerks. Disney legend and animator Ruth E. Thompson, Aladdin character animators Dave Brixma, Glenn Keane, Duncan Majorabanks, Eric Goldberg, Will Finn, Randy Cartwright, and Andreas Deha. I know I said I wouldn't list off a bunch of names, but we know the Disney characters. These are just a few of the people who brought those characters to life, who gave us the Disney we love. If there's a time to remember them, it's a look back on the first 100 years of Disney. Bonus round! The Snuggly Duckling sign from Tangled, the Spaghetti from Lady and the Tramp, Litwack's Family Fun Center sign from Wreck-It Ralph, Hans, frozen like Hans Solo in Empire Strikes Back, Froster and Cave of Wonders from Aladdin, sign for Walt Disney Studios, Mickey Mouse, and Silly Symphony, The Art of books, Honey Pot from Winnie the Pooh, Model the Disney Castle, Rapunzel's Tower from Tangled as a mug with her hair as the handle, The Lamp from Aladdin, a glass slipper from Cinderella, The Enchanted Rose from Beauty and the Beast, a paper airplane from the Paperman short, Scrump, Lilo's doll from Lilo and Stitch, the Disney Parks trash can, and Garfield. Someone please tell me if that's just a joke. I've been going crazy trying to find out what the Mickey Mouse Garfield connection is.
The whole idea of the short is that it was meant to be a love letter to Disney animation, a love letter to the medium, to everyone that's worked in the building over the last 100 years, standing on the shoulders of greatness making this short, and the whole studio got behind this short.
Thanks for having me be a part of this.
The thrill actually is mine.
Oh, guys, this was fun. This is good for me. I'm on cloud nine.
Thanks for having me on your project.
Thanks for including me. Thank you for involving me.
I'm honored. Thank you. This is the greatest gift.
Jeremy Irons, the voice of Scar, threw himself into the performance and threw his headphones across the room while he was at it. James Woods, Hades, spent an hour in the recording booth, relishing the chance to improvise for the fast-talking god.
And they said, we had people come to us and say, we want to work on this because this character meant something special to me, because this was the first character I ever worked on. I used to watch this movie with my grandma, and it brings back memories. So It was really a celebration within the studio as well.
Last year, I saw a re-release of the 1991 Beauty and the Beast in theaters. I'm young enough that it was the first time I can remember seeing a Disney movie with 2D, hand-drawn animation on the big screen. And I was in awe. The sheer effort and talent it takes to create that animation felt visceral in a way it never had before on my TV or laptop. It had a magic to it. And if it's not too much to ask, Disney, I'd love if you could create a new movie with hand-drawn animation. There's a lot of people who would love to see that.